Africa is made for growing. Our conditions in most places, especially in the the prime areas, good rain seasons, good soil, water is readily available. Most places, Zambia, very fortunate, a lot of water available. Definitely Africa can be the breadbasket. Yeah, I think there's red tape is always a bit of a challenge. Transport costs, if you were to include the bigger picture, getting grain out of Africa, that's difficult. Landlocked country, it's a long way to get the produce to the coast, so that is one of our limitations. But at the moment, most of what's being grown is utilized locally. I do believe we'll have excess maize this year, so hopefully there'll be a bit of exportation as well into Zim, maybe Malawi.
For someone like myself who is interested into farming,
yes,
what are the basic things I need to know, or what are the basic things our viewers out there who are interested in farming need to be aware of?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a tough one. I'd say it's like going into any business. You have to do your background, make sure you know what you're in for, plan properly, and I think don't start too big initially. Even if you've got the backing, say you've got the money behind you, still just take it small, try a few things, test the waters, figure it out, and then yeah, find what you're passionate about and really go for it. Yeah, what you need to know, like I say, any business that you go into, you've got to do your homework. So get out there, get into the area where you're looking at. Every area is different. Some areas get longer rain seasons, then you're not going to do so well with potatoes. You're maybe not going to do so well with wheat. So then you've got to figure out what works best in that area. And yeah, if you've done your homework and you've got the finance behind you, you can make anything work. Yeah. There's new and more modern ways of farming coming through as well. The chemicals, the fertilizers is getting so expensive that the profit margin is really shrinking. So there's now a lot more research being done, especially coming out of Europe and so on, where the guys are looking at other methods of still getting similar results, but being more eco-friendly, cutting down on the costs of the artificial fertilizers and chemicals and so on. So that in its own right is where the younger generation need to get more involved. Look at the more eco-natural cover cropping, more intense farming, and yeah, still look at making good business out of it, because it's a matter of time before these chemicals will outprice themselves. The chemicals and fertilizers just won't be justifiable. Those are the things the youth definitely have to focus on. For the long term, we've got to look after our soils, we've got to look after the crops, and yeah, these big commercial methods I think are slowly starting to phase out. Not in the near future, but I think eventually they will.
Okay.
My name's Daniel Nell. This farm is Chilanga State Farming Limited. I'm actually a third generation farmer, the same family on this farm. Yeah, title deeds date back to as far as 1918, and I think my grandfather started working here 1980s, in the early 80s, if I recall correctly. Yes. For us in the day, so my day-to-day basic running is we'll get staff going in the morning. If there's things to do in the crops, our drivers will head out there, give them the chemicals they need, so on. We've got another team of general workers that will either be erecting fences or bush clearing or anything, whether it's bagging maize. Get the guys going, yeah, and then keep an eye on them throughout the day and keep the wheels turning. That's it. Monitor your water, make sure the guys on the irrigation are doing what they need to do, and yeah, manage it. Yeah. And
how many workers do you have here?
We a total of 40
workers?
Yes, 40 years. Yeah. Oof. Yeah, that excludes the directors and myself. That's five drivers, and all the drivers have grown up on the farm, as have I. Most of our staff have grown up here. I'd say 20% have been actually employed later on. Everyone else so it's very family oriented. The guys that are here used to, their fathers work for my grandfather, and they've come up through the ranks, and then they're still working here. Yeah. Generations, yes. And I think, you know, for the most part, they enjoy their work, and they see the benefits of it as well. You know, they're used to the system. Housing is here. They got their own fields at the end of the year. It's almost 2 hectares of maize each guy grows for himself at the end of the year. Lots of added benefits. So yeah, they don't easily want to pack up and leave.
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't, because this is a way of life.
Yeah. So it's a way of life, and they see it that way as well. And it's great having the guys like that. Yeah,
it's amazing. So what are you guys farming here?
So yeah, here behind us got 3 different age groups of potato crops. So this time of year, coming into winter now, so we've got about 25 hectares of potatoes there, and then over behind you 53 hectares of wheat. Winter wheat. Okay. Coming into summer, we change it up a bit, and we're planting about 160 hectares or so of maize, 160 hectares of soybeans, and then try our hand at another 6 to 8 hectares of potatoes in the rain season as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've been farming, you're a third generation farmer.
Yeah.
I don't need to ask you what really inspired you to be a farmer, because you were born and raised in the
I think I was born for one purpose and one purpose only. Yeah. No, but it's still it's a passion, and it's a lifestyle. You know, long hours. You're always on duty. Your phone's always got to be somewhere where there's signal. But yeah, there's 3 of us on the farm here, still working. Fortunate enough to work with my dad and my uncle. So yeah, the 2 of them are directors, and then I just keep the wheels turning as best I can. Yeah.
So basically, you're farming potatoes.
Yeah.
Are there some other crops you guys have done before, or why did you decide to settle on potatoes?
As long as I've been here, I moved back to the farm in 2013, and as long as I've been here, this is sort of the rotation we've been doing: wheat, soya, maize, potatoes. We recently started introducing just a third, you know, sort of a turnover crop, a cover crop of sun hemp. So yeah, but I mean, back in the day, my dad had tried some, you know, sugar beans and ground nuts, and they've tried a few of those things back then. But for our soils and what we found out in the market being fairly close, this is what we carried on doing. And we've sort of, you know, we've got a system over 12 months what we do when we need to do it, and yeah, it's working quite well for us. We've got a bit of the farm in the back there as well. That's bush. We keep it as forest. We've got cattle and also ranching a bit of game there as well.
Okay.
So everything is a part of a bigger puzzle, but all comes together at the end. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
It must be nice living in the farmland.
Yeah.
No, very, very nice.
No, definitely. Fortunate enough to, you know, the farming lifestyle, having space. You know, it's a blessing. Yeah.
So potatoes, how is it planted?
Potatoes. So basically, we'll come through. Yeah, there would have been a crop in here earlier, most likely soybeans. We'll land prep, so turn over the soil, ripping, disking, put down a bit of gypsum, irrigate, and once our moisture is correct, we've got a few machines that'll go through. So we've got a ridger that'll actually build the ridges, and then the plant will come through behind the ridger and yeah, apply the seed and a bit of chemicals to protect the tubers. Yeah.
Okay, and the seed, you guys produce your own seed, or you?
No, we get the seed from a big company in town. Okay. Where Bamba support us quite well, so they do. Recently, I think the last 3 years, we've been getting all our seed locally. Okay. Before that, it was coming in from South Africa, from Europe, Holland, Germany, but the last 3 years, all our seeds been coming from local farms. I believe some being grown in Choma, some other farms up in Mbala. Yeah, and then get the seed from there, and then yeah, different potatoes are being grown for different purposes. This variety in particular is most likely going to go through the new chipping factory that's on the north end of Lusaka. That gets processed, boiled down, and bagged, and I believe they're actually starting to export a bit of that bagged produce. Okay. And then we've got a couple of other varieties, one specifically for crisping. It's a much smaller, drier potato. And then another one which will just be for, you know, everyday shop outlets. Yeah.
Okay.
your everyday table potato. Yeah.
Okay. And in terms of water, how do you manage water in such a large farming system?
Yeah, so all of our water for our crops is currently from underground borers. So we look after the borers as best we can. We've got to gauge them before the start of each crop, make sure we have the water to grow the crop. Potatoes being quite an expensive crop to grow, so you have to make sure you've got the water for it. And yeah, gauge it every 3-4 days. We've got to get the pivot through here. You can see yesterday was quite hot. Today I think we're going to push again 28-29 degrees, drying out very quickly. And now our biggest challenge is we've not set ourselves up to be off the grid yet, so we're quite reliant on Zesco, on power. And you know, with the load shedding situation, it has put a bit of a choke on things, but we're getting about 7-8 hours of power a day, so we're managing, yeah.
Okay. That's amazing. Are there some pests and diseases that are affecting your potatoes farming? You
do get, especially as the crop starts to get a bit older. From now on, we will start to see things like leaf miner does come through. That's a bit of a challenge. We also get a bacteria on the stems there, blackleg. That'll kill the odd potato. You'll see a bit of wilting. From now on, we start to see that wilting. And then fungus. Fungus is one of our bigger ones. You get some of those cooler temperatures for too many days, then the fungus does wake up. So potatoes, the tractor's got to go through. The tractor's busy here now. The tractor's got to go through the potatoes almost every week. Yeah, okay. Every 10 days at the latest.
And how do you manage these pests and diseases?
Yeah, most of what we're using is all commercial chemicals. Okay. They're getting softer with each year, you know, less quantities and so on. You also got to look after the soils, but most of it is dealt with fungicides, insecticides, and then just using them, you know, accordingly at the right time. Okay. Yeah, getting your timing right is key.
Okay. So what kind of weather is good for potatoes planting?
Personally, I prefer if it is a bit colder. The sun is excellent, needs, like most plants, need a good hot sunny day like this. But with our Zesco situation, you know, if it's not too hot, a little bit overcast, keep it moist, that'll do better. Yeah, especially now because we get to the stage where the tubers are formed, we've now got to actually bulk them out, so need to keep that water. Yeah.
Okay. And these potatoes, how long do they stay before they become fully matured?
This variety in particular, we always get around from date of emergence. It depends how long from date of planting to germination, anywhere from 10 days, 2 weeks, some varieties 2.5 weeks. We work on about 80-85 days on this particular crop. Some of the other crops you try and push them to 100 days from the date of emergence to the date of harvest. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So 100 days, just over 3 months. Yeah.
So it's a bit a fast going crop.
It's a quick crop. Yeah. So that's why you mustn't sleep in. You gotta stay on top of it. Boots on the ground. Check every day. Every 3 days you gotta go and make sure things are still going to plan. Yeah.
Okay, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Are there some challenges you face as a potato or as a farmer?
Challenges? There's a lot of challenges. One being the electricity situation. You know, insects can be a challenge. Obviously, fungus, anything along those lines. They do prove a challenge from time to time. But that's why I say if you're out here every day, see what's going on, you should be ahead of the game.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is that wow moment for you as a farmer?
Wow moment.
Yes.
Every day is a wow moment. You know, when you get up early and you're up before the sunrise most days and the sun breaks the horizon there, that's always a wow moment. But when it comes to the crops, you know, seeing the grain come off or seeing the potatoes come off, the first time that lifter goes into the ground and the potatoes are left on the soil behind it, yeah, that's always exciting. See what your potatoes look like, the quality and everything. Because you can dig there, it doesn't really tell the truth until you properly lift. When you get in there with a harvester, now you see what you've done. Yeah, it's always good.
You also keeping cows?
Yeah.
What kind of cows are you keeping?
Our cattle is all Bonsmara, all beef production. Yes, okay. Yeah, not doing any dairy, no.
Okay. How many cows you got?
Plus minus, I would say, is a breeding herd of 200, 220, and the farm always differs on what's on the farm at the time. There's another 145 weaners that will be there. And then obviously when we come into calving season, big flush of calves again, and then it narrows down. But 220 breeding cows, yeah.
Do you sell breeding stocks as well?
We have done in the past, you know, try and support the village communities, better their herds by selling a few heifers and things like that into the communities. But we're not a registered breeder, no.
Okay.
No, just good quality, healthy animals, yeah.
So if I want to buy some fresh beef, I can come and buy from you guys.
Well, if you want it still mooing and with a tail on it, yes. We're not processing. We don't slaughter on site. But yeah, from what we do is when we produce once a year, everything goes into the feedlot. So we sell it to the guys running the feedlots, and from there it ends up on the shelves. Yeah.
Do you guys do open grazing or how?
Yeah, it's all open grazing. We've got the entire farm is kitted with cattle fences, and yeah, we just rotate the grazing paddocks throughout the year.
How do you manage the feed during the winter period?
So we normally would supplement off of some of the maize which we've grown ourselves. We'll keep a little bit back. We'll run that through a hammer mill and feed them snap, but that's usually on the drier years. We try to manage our grazing by not keeping too many cattle. So we always limit our cattle numbers just to maintain a good environment in the bush, so that we don't have to supplement them. We will often a little bit into the calving season when the cows start to calve down later in the year. We will sometimes supplement a little bit, but that's again on the drier years. Once we finished harvesting the maize, of course, then we have all that stover. So then we'll bring the herds out and actually graze them on the stover, and that's usually where they'll calve in the open where we can see them.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
We do a bit of hay as well. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
that's what we would supplement the cattle with as well, coming into the drier months. If we do run a bit thin in the back there, of course we do keep our own hay, so we'll supplement them with that. If I can avoid feeding them actual grain, then we do. Yeah, we avoid feeding them just the hay and molasses. Yeah.
And your produce, how do you market your produce?
We've been in the country so long, so many generations, we've got contacts, we know who we're dealing with, usually going back to the same guys every year. If it's the potatoes, we know who we're phoning. If it's the maize, we know who we're phoning, and yeah, that's basically it. We don't need to advertise too much. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Most of our stuff is sold locally, whether it's to agents or directly to the mills, and then from there, you know, like the maize situation, all depends on if the government opens the borders or not. Food security within Zambia is priority, and then from there our produce can move. So we've never really been involved with exporting directly off farm out. You know, we're fairly small, 50 hectares of wheat, 25 potatoes. There's a lot of other farmers out there doing a lot more than that.
You call that small?
That's small. I can tell you now, that's still small.
You call that small?
Yeah.
You know, you got up to 100 hectares. You call that small?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God. So what are your plans? To get 1 million hectares? What are the plans?
No, I think our limitation here is the underground water. So we haven't got too much more that we can expand on. The summer crops, yes, we've got about 450 hectares which we can plant every inch of it. But come now in winter, when we're reliant on the borals, we're pretty much at our maximum capacity. I mean, I'd love to put in another 2 pivots and, you know, grow an extra 100 hectares of wheat, but yeah, there are limiting factors, and that would be the underground water. Yeah, and of course a tough year like this with our load shedding, you're not gonna grow too much more either. Well, the first potatoes were grown on this farm were done with by hand, with hose and irrigation lines, and throughout the night the boys would be running around here, closing, opening valves. Now, since the invention of center pivots, and it's made life much easier. Yeah. So,
do potatoes need too much water?
They do, yeah. Especially at the stage that I'm at now, this crop is actually begging for water. And yeah, we're just waiting for the power to come on. Hopefully tonight we'll get some electricity and bring it through. But yes, they do. I think we try to give them up to about 40 mils a week. Okay. But anything from 30 is suffice, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is the fastest growing crop you've ever had?
From what we grow here on the farm, the potatoes are the quickest, yeah. Quickest turnover, yeah.
Than the maize?
From planting, yes. Maize is about a 6 months from planting to harvesting, yes.
So maize and potatoes, which one you prefer growing?
I enjoy the potato farming. Yeah, it's more intense. You got to be out there and check on it. The maize is, once you've done it a few times, it's you understand what's going on. It's all right. You know, drive around the edge, you kind of know what's going on. The potatoes, you got to go in there and have a look. It's
So you like
I enjoy the
complicated
potatoes.
jobs?
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Complicated means it keeps you busy.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it.
And it makes more moolah.
It does make mullah, the stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So you like moolah, not the complication.
No. It's a bit of both, I'd say.
So cows, is it the only livestock you have?
Yeah, just basically cattle, and then we've got a bit of game as well. About 7 years ago, we had a lot of natural game on the farm as it was, and we refenced the farm, and then decided to add in a bit of different species. And we've got a bit of game as well. So it's a cattle, and then alongside the cattle, running the game. Yeah.
That's amazing. My brother,
No problem.
thank you so much for having us. It's been an awesome experience discussing with you. We wish you the very best in your potato business, your cattle farming, and every other agricultural endeavor. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks very much, sir. Cheers.
You are too tall.
I am tall. Eating too many potatoes.
Yeah, too many potatoes. Thank you so much for watching. If you are new to our channel, kindly subscribe, click the notification bell, like, comment, so you never miss an episode on agriculture that matters. Until then, peace.